Google Gemini app that just made creating presentation ridiculously easy. I generated these presentations with AI using a specific prompting structure, and in the next 5 minutes I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it. If you stick with me till the end, I'm also gonna show you how to turn slides into narrated video with Google Gemini free model. First thing first, open up Gemini. Once you are inside the platform, right below the prompting section, you'll find a section called Tools. If you click on that, you'll see that one of the options which are available is called Canvas. You have to turn this on to enable the creation of presentations. Without this toggle on, Gemini will not create presentations. The second important thing you need to do before starting our presentation creation is that we need to ensure that thinking mode or pro mode are switched on in the specific chat. So if you go to this section right next to the microphone, you can see that you have several different options, fast thinking and pro, especially for free plans. You want to select either thinking or pro. This gives the AI the deep reasoning power it needs to structure the logic of our presentation correctly. So it's really important that you set this on. To ensure that creates a presentation that will make you happy, the first and most important thing which we have to do is structure the prompt correctly. You'll see here now on the screen that the structure I'm proposing you, which I use for my presentation and I find very efficient, is a prompt instruction divided into 7 steps. So the first thing we need to do is we need to define the topic and the source of the information. So we'll tell the AI create a slide presentation and then we define a topic. Please note that for the topic, you can select several different sources. You can either describe in text everything you want to have in your presentation, but you can also create a presentation starting from a YouTube video, a PDF research which you copy paste inside the chat, or anything which you have in your Google Workspace. For example, if you want to reference meeting notes which you have in your Google Drive, or if you want to reference a market trends report which you have in your Google Drive, you can also do that. But you can also use web pages. For example, create a company presentation based on this specific website, or Google Sheet data, create a presentation about Q1 sales data. You can use any source you want. So you don't need to describe everything. You can use an existing source, right? So this is step 1. Step 2 is defining the target audience. This is super important. You need to tell the AI who is creating the presentation for. Are you creating this presentation for children at school, or you're creating this for your boss and executives within your company, right? So it's important you tell the AI who is it creating for. The third part of the prompt is the visual style. It's very important so that you are happy that you communicate very clearly and with as much detail as possible the visual style which you want for your presentation. You can say something like minimalist, bold, retro. I want it clean and with techie vibes. And then you can also be more specific, and I recommend you are, especially if you already have a brand, you want to communicate to the AI which are the color of your brand. So if you have a primary color and an accent or secondary color, you really want to tell the AI, okay, these are the color you need to use in the presentation. The fourth part of this prompting structure consists in telling the AI with kind of images you want as part of your presentation. You can tell him choose photos that look cinematic, bright studios, I want infographics, right? Tell them what kind of support assets you want in the presentation. And then the fifth part is telling the AI which kind of tone you want to have in the presentation. So are we looking for a professional tone, or we're looking for something funny and witty? And we want to tell them also what kind of vocabulary to use in the presentation. Use specialized vocabulary or simple, straight to the point. The sixth part of this prompting structure is the formatting rules. You want to tell the AI if you want to use any specific font. For example, for my font, I always use Anton and Lato. Anton for titles and Lato for normal text, right? So you want to give him the information about the font you want him to use in the presentation. And then finally, and this is optional, for example, I don't do it because I think the AI does a good job in selecting and setting a background, you can describe the type of background which you want to have in your presentation. Let's now test it with a real example. In this case, I want Gemini to create a presentation about the state of AI in 2025, which is a report from McKinsey. So I'm going to paste a prompt, which I'm going to drag you through, and then I'm going to take the report itself and paste it so he has access to it. After having given this information, I define the target audience, business executive. I define the visual style. I want it minimalistic and elegant. I define the color, which are my brand color. I want deep navy and an accent color, which is a light blue. and then I want the image style. I want either no image if you can't find a suitable one, or tech infographics. And then I want to define the text tone, write text in a professional tone. And then finally the formatting rules. I defined which font I want within the presentation. We see that the option Canvas is turned on in the tools section, as we said before, and that we're using a Pro model. Let's click submit and see what happens. After a couple of minutes, we see that Gemini has created the presentation. It gives us a preview here. We see that it has 12 slides. We see that the title is the title of the paper which we have produced, and the source is McKinsey. And then we can scroll through the slides. It has used the title which we have defined, the colors which we have set. It has extracted all the information. When it couldn't find a suitable image, he has left a placeholder so we can substitute it ourselves. And in general, we see that it did a very, very good job keeping all of the information which we have given in the prompt. Now, you have two options. Either, if you like this presentation, you can export it to slide and continue the editing. If you don't like the mood, if you think it didn't do a good job with, for example, with the generic style or with the background, with how it extracted the information, I recommend you start again from scratches and fix the prompt to make sure it doesn't do the same mistakes again. Let's suppose you like this presentation. I think it's very nice. What we're gonna do is either download it or export it to slides. In this case, let's export it to slides. Once this process is done, at the bottom left of your screen, you'll have a small toggle that says new slides created. If you click on open slides here, it will open the slides in Google Slide. We see that he has kept the same exact format that we had before. What's different here is, number one, that you can edit everything. For example, let me just show you. You can change the text, you can add your logos and do all of the manual edit which you want, if you want to edit the position, for example. But the cooler part, and this is only part of this latest update, that you also have AI options to edit the slides. If you want to edit with AI, you have two options. You can either go to this button here and say beautify this slide. This will tell Nano Banana Pro, okay, make me a better slide, but without defining what's the actual improvement you want to make. So if you want a completely new design or a nicer version of the slide, you might want to try that. And this is the result. Let's say we like it and we want to insert as a new slide. We have a nicer version of the same slide while keeping the same tone, the same background color, and basic information which we have given for the presentation, right? In this case, for example, I like this new slide much more, so I'm gonna insert it inside. And here we go. The second option, if in case you don't like something in a specific slide, let's go to this specific slide, for example, is if you click on this Nano Banana item that says help me visualize, you can edit the entire slide, you can edit the image within the slide, and you can also create an infographic. Let's see how this works very simply. Let's say, for example, in this case, I want to fix formatting on the slide and change the colors of the graph. And here we go. This is the result. It's the same slide. It has changed the coloring and fixed the formatting. So I like it. I'm going to insert this new slide instead. You see, you can see the confrontation before and after. The third and last option to edit with AI, if you go again to this section, help me visualize, and you click on infographic and you give very simple instruction, like, for example, change the image in the slide to nicer infographic using the existing context, and you click play. Let's see what happens. The result is the same slide but turned as an infographic. Instead of having the text and the image, we have an infographic describing the same exact concept. Now, the very last thing I want to show you in this video is how to use Gemini to turn this presentation into a narrated video. Not only you don't have to create the presentation anymore, but just do the final edits, you can also not be the one who gives the actual presentation. You might still want to be, but just to describe you all of the possibility which you have, let's go to Gemini, and in the same presentation, let's click on this item, convert to video, and see what happens. I'm gonna click convert. What it does is it lets me select the slide which I want to include in the video narration. So I'm gonna exclude the double slide because I created another version of it, and then I'm gonna go ahead and say include AI's voiceover, script, and background music, and I'm gonna click import. Here we go. It only took a couple of minutes, and now we have the video. Let's hear it together.
Welcome to this video on the state of AI in 2026, focusing on agents, innovation, and transformation, based on a McKinsey global survey. In the adoption phase,
I'm gonna spare you the full video, but it does actually a really good job, and you can also edit most of it. This is subject for another video. Let me know in the comment if it's something interesting. I'm happy to go deeper into the details. And the best part of all of this is you can use this structure and this prompting technique for an incredible number of use cases. You can use it for YouTube videos, you can use it for your own context which you want to write, you can use it for PDF, you can use to summarize meeting notes, you can use to summarize Google Sheets, you can basically feed it any information which you have and ask it to create a presentations and also to create a video out of that presentation. So instead of presenting it in a meeting, you can send it ahead to people so they can just listen in to your presentation. Pretty powerful, right? If you want to master Google Gemini better than 90% of the people, follow the channel and check this video which is appearing on the screen right now. Catch you on the next one.